Could your hormones be affecting your health? Are you looking for a new fitness routine to tone your body? And have you ever wondered which relationship myths to trust and which are just a bust? We're learning all that and more right now. Welcome. We have a great show for you today. One of the things we're talking about is the importance of teaching kids how to make nutritious meals. My kids love to cook for me. My son will actually make me breakfast if I'm running late. Sanford, do you cook for your mom?
No, I don't.
Did you cook when you were a child?
No. I made eggs, and I made cucumber sandwiches with Italian dressing, and I made ice cream sundaes with a lot of chocolate syrup.
Ooh.
And that's about what I make today.
Do you make that for Alia, the producer in the cave?
Alia, do I make that for you?
No, you don't make that for me.
I think maybe after the show we need to make some delicious sundaes for Alia.
Yes,
okay.
Please. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Right now, I want to talk about how we can feel better emotionally and physically. We all have those days when we just feel a little off. But did you ever think that could be your hormones? Here to tell us more about keeping our hormones in balance is the author of The Hormone Cure, Dr. Sara Gottfried. Sara, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, Lisa.
Can you explain to us what hormones are?
Hormones are like text messages in your body. They're chemical messengers that tell cells what to do.
Okay.
They control your weight, they control your mood, your energy, and they really matter because they drive what you're interested in.
And how do they get off balance?
They get out of balance in many different ways, but one of the key ways is with the amount of stress that you have and how you dance with it. So for those of us who are on the overwhelmed side, who are quite stressed and have high cortisol, the main stress hormone, that can pull down the other hormones in your body.
See, because most of us, when we hear the word hormone, we think sex hormones, right? We think
yes.
Male, female, testosterone. But cortisol is something that our brain produces when we're stressed?
So your brain tells your adrenals to make more cortisol.
Oh, okay.
It is a stress hormone. It's also a sex hormone. So it's made in these cute little glands in your mid-back. They secrete cortisol and progesterone and estrogen, testosterone. Those are all important.
Okay.
But what I find is that it really comes down to three main hormones for women. And I call them the hormonal Charlie's Angels. And that is cortisol, estrogen, and thyroid.
And do they work together? Do they work against each other? What's the relationship between those hormones?
Well, the ideal situation is that they work together.
Okay.
So they're working as a team for you, not working against you. If you're completely stressed out, as I was in my 30s, it can cause the other hormones to get out of whack. So you want these hormones to have the right kind of crosstalk.
So you're a doctor. You said that in your 30s you were completely out of whack. So you probably knew what was going on. But if someone is watching and doesn't quite know if maybe what's throwing them out of whack is hormones, how do they know? What are their symptoms?
Well, the symptoms are pretty varied. I'll go through a few of the ones that I see the most commonly. I find that 91% of the women in my practice complain of low energy, or maybe that their energy is inconsistent. It's good one morning when they wake up and not the next day. If you have an addiction to coffee, like if you can't make it through your morning without coffee, that's a sign. If you feel tired but wired, these are all symptoms of a problem with cortisol. Thyroid is a little bit different. It can make you gain weight, can make you fatigued as well. It can also cause depression. So 20% of people with depression have low thyroid function.
Really?
50% of people with depression have high cortisol. So it's really important to look at your hormones first before going to a pharmaceutical.
Okay, so if you're tired or cranky or just feeling like you need a cup of coffee in the morning, afternoon, and night, then you should probably go get a thyroid panel taken?
I think that's worthwhile. I really think you want to look at these top three hormones. So look at all three of them, cortisol, estrogen, and thyroid. And I think it's so important to realize that what you measure improves. So I'm going to tell you about a few different ways that we can measure these things.
Yeah.
But one of the ways you can do it is with a questionnaire. So in my book, in chapter 1, I have the questionnaire that I use in my practice that I've refined over the past 20 years and in 20,000 patients. You also can ask your doctor for a laboratory test.
Okay. And then just say my hormones are out of whack. They probably are. What are the first steps I can take to start getting back into balance?
Well, there's many things that you can do. I'm a big fan of starting with your fork and really focusing on the way that you eat, move, think, and supplement.
Okay.
What I found in my own body, going back to when I was a stress case in my 30s and had PMS and low sex drive and some of these other symptoms in my 30s.
Is it that common?
It is. So what we know is that 35 is kind of the average age where women start to have symptoms.
Okay.
I don't mean to leave the guys out of this conversation. For them, the three amigos are actually cortisol, testosterone, thyroid. But going back to women, when you start to run out of ripe eggs, which is usually around 35, that's when estrogen and progesterone don't have the same tango that they used to have. And you can start to feel hypervigilance, waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to go back to sleep, or having trouble winding down before you go to bed, or just feeling cranky, bitchy.
So you need to eat different things.
You need to eat different things. So with your fork, shall we go through some foods
please.
Some do's and don'ts?
Definitely.
So when it comes to food, what I think is so important is to really focus on vegetables, vegetables, vegetables.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of a plant-based diet. I'm diet agnostic, though. I really think you need a system, not the latest fad diet.
Okay.
So I happen to think that kale is really a lifestyle rather than just a vegetable.
And
I'm
delicious.
a big fan, and delicious.
I love kale.
You can make it taste amazing. So I think vegetables are incredibly important. Getting the right healthy fats.
Okay.
The whole low-fat craze really caused a lot of harm when it comes to hormone balance. So things like avocados and olives and coconut oil, those are fantastic for your hormones, because your hormones are made in your adrenal glands from cholesterol. So you need to have a good amount of fat.
Totally low-fat diet.
Low-fat diet is not such a good thing. So those are really important. Another one I love is quinoa. I think that's a really powerful grain. It's a seed, so that you can get adequate protein. Those things are really good. Some of the don'ts include sugar. Sugar robs you of testosterone. And testosterone I think of as being that hormone of vitality. It's important for sex drive. It's important for confidence. And it gives women a sense of agency, like being able to assert their power in the world.
So what about exercise?
Exercise.
Important, right?
So important, so important. So when it comes to exercise, you want to be aware of where you are with your hormones. And one thing I do have is a quiz that people can take for free. Can I just mention that?
Yeah.
So it's called the hormoneCureBook.com/quiz. And that's a way to see if you have a problem with these three hormones, cortisol, estrogen, and thyroid. So if you have high cortisol, like I did in my 30s, it took me about a month to fix it. But when I went to my doctor and I explained that I had PMS and I felt like I was burning the candle at both ends and felt too young to feel so old, he offered me an antidepressant.
Oh, no.
And he also told me to exercise more and eat less. And these were exactly the wrong things for me.
So you want to exercise less and eat more?
Well, you want to exercise smarter.
Okay.
So I actually exercise about half as much as I used to in my 30s. But I used to be a runner. And running raises your cortisol. You want it to be in that Goldilocks position.
See, I thought that was a pedometer for running. It's not.
Well, you can actually use this Fitbit for walking or running.
So that's to maintain healthy hormone balance.
So this is a really good way to track your activity wirelessly.
Okay.
And the Fitbit also comes with...
You wear it on your belt?
So you wear it on your belt.
And it just measures your activity.
It's like the next generation pedometer.
Okay.
So it uses an accelerometer, which is a way of tracking your movement using the Wii technology. So it's it's not the old school pedometer.
And how does that help my hormones?
Well, a couple of things with this. I am a big fan of mastering your sleep.
Okay.
So I think that's one of our main tips that we want to share with people today. Mastering your sleep is so important. Otherwise, you're going to fall down a hormonal flight of stairs starting in your 30s.
Okay.
So we got to get good sleep.
So we're eating, we're exercising not too hard, and we're sleeping.
That's right.
That's how we keep our hormones in balance.
Mastering your sleep is so important. So you can track your sleep. You can track the number of interruptions that you have and the total number of hours and your sleep quality. You want to constantly be up-leveling your sleep. Very important.
Okay, and I can do that with that?
Yes, you can.
Perfect. All right. So one more thing that we can do, just one thing to take away. We're eating right, we're exercising properly, and we're getting enough sleep. Is there any one more thing we should be taking or doing, or just a single thing to get us back in balance?
The one final thing is to learn to hit the pause button. And I'm a big fan of having a long a la carte menu of what that looks like. I happen to be a yoga teacher, so that's one of the methods that I like. But I have some women in my office who are just like, I'm not doing yoga. So one of the things I do is I offer them something by heart math. And it's a way to measure your stress response. This just fits on your earlobe. You can use your iPhone and download an app called the Inner Balance. The cool thing about this is that it measures your heart rate variability, and that tracks with your stress level. This technology has been shown to lower cortisol by 23%.
Great.
And raise DHEA.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Great information.
My pleasure.